Hey guys, Evans here in Middletown. I'm here with Alyssa, who's in Germany, our operations manager.
Hello, hello. So, I wanted to take some time today to just ask Evan some questions just about Middletown. I mean, you see the awesome facility behind him. So, uh, tell me a little bit about when you decided that you wanted three locations.
Good night. So I think relocations, it was always a part of our mission. If you remember 6 years ago when you came, we had our vision, our mission, our core values, and one of the missions was three sustainable locations. So it
Mhm.
was definitely a part of our mission from probably 2014 timeframe. When in the early years, probably 2010, I was already in Middletown subleasing from a chiropractor, Dr. Reese, and then even before that, that was late 2020, 2010, early 2010, I was driving back and forth to Middletown because we had clients, and I used to just go to their homes. So a lot of our early success stories were people in Middletown. But towards about 2011, I had to like that. I had to make a decision that I had to consolidate my efforts. And in 2012, we kind of shut down Middletown and driving to people's homes and consolidate everything to Dover. But a couple years later, I quickly realized that, hey, I want to have these three locations. I want to be in Dover, and I want to be in Milford, and I want to be in Middletown. And that was about 2014.
Wow. Okay, it's been a long time. So, of course, we opened our Milford location 5 years ago. So you've wanted to do three locations for a long time. Why now? Why open a third location now when we have two other locations that you could have been spending more time in?
Great question. I think, Milford opened up in a different space, like meaning psychologically, I opened up Milford in 2018. One, because we were having clients come up from Milford. We had another gym in Milford that the owners access to come and train the owners in their own gym, even though they had personal trainers there. But they saw the results that we were creating in the community from people who were coming up to us. So they asked that we'd come down and serve them. So actually, Sean and I went down there initially, started training, had those initial things. But then also, I felt that I don't want to say there was something I had to prove, but at the end of the day, it was something I had to prove that I could start from scratch because a lot of people was telling me this is the way you're supposed to build a business. And so I just felt like, hey, I needed to do that. And then Milford, went through its up and down, but right now, or before I decided to pull the trigger on Middletown. Both Milford and Dover were in a really good place. We were serving our community, people were getting results. With you and Amanda kind of leading the ship, I honestly became like unneeded, which is like, I guess, is part of the goals you want as an entrepreneur. But then also, if you don't have a plan for what do you do when you're not needed in your own company, it can kind of drive you batty. So I didn't really have a plan for it, but I started associating with some other fitness business owners, and it kind of revived that drive to go after a third location. So I said, yeah, I want to go after to open up Middletown. And honestly, when I looked around in Middletown to see, something called SWOT analysis, you look at strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. When we looked around, we didn't see anything like us in Middletown. We didn't see any personal training studios, any places that kind of specialized in, supporting those that are older, maybe with physical challenges, people who didn't want to be into a large group, people who maybe had, why I started seeing you fit. I started seeing you fit because, yes, I found this passion towards metabolism, but honestly, I was always intimidating going to the gym. When I was going through my weight loss, weight gain journey, um, I didn't feel comfortable in a big box gym. I got fit in somebody's basement that looked like a private studio. So I wanted to create that kind of environment that was safe. And as you age, you can't do box jumps. You can't just run sleds and foot tires. Your lifestyle doesn't support it. So when I looked, there's great gyms. I actually know a couple of gym owners up here in Middletown, but none of them like was private. None of them was just either like one-on-one or semi-private. A lot of them operate from a class schedule, and we wanted to give the same flexibility and the same service we had to the Middletown area. I was also getting some social pressures from some existing clients who were like, "Man, you really should open up in Middletown, because I'm driving and when the traffic hits." And as you saw, Lissa, we had clients coming down from Wilmington and from Bear. So they were commuting sometimes 45 minutes to an hour to get what we provided. So that was our big burns: create that safe environment for people, a place that's small enough that it can be intimate, but enough people that you can build true relationships long term. So we're excited to be the only, I can't say the first because I don't know Middletown's history, but to be the only personal training studio here. And I feel that everywhere else I looked, it was just group classes, just what kind of group, kind of classes you want to. And I wanted to provide an opportunity for the community for something else, and if you have knee challenges and back issues and shoulder issues, or if you just want that privatized attention, it's kind of cool that we're able to provide that need.
Absolutely. So you mentioned earlier that you had CNU Fit has some roots in Middletown, which is really cool. So when did you officially decide, like, you've been wanting to do 3 locations for a long time. When did you decide that it was Middletown that was gonna be the next CNU Fit spot?
Yeah, I would say it was probably April, May timeframe. I
Okay.
remember it's like, I'm one of those people. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do this in a year, and like 3 months later, I'm signing a lease, kind of thing. So it was like April, May timeframe. I was like, honestly, it wasn't until I was like on the fence, and then I looked at the numbers, and Middletown was honestly the most intimidating location for me,
Mm,
because everything up here is so expensive compared to Dover and Milford, and the time. You think, in 2018 and 2000, we moved in our current Milford Dover location in 2012. That's a huge difference in economies of scale. So, I was looking around, and I knew I didn't want to go further south. So I was like, hey, Middletown's where it is, and we have probably a good 20% of clients that were commuting back and forth. So
mhm.
that's when in April I made that decision. I was like, hey, we're going to do this. In June, when I got the prices, how much it was, I was like, I'm not going to do this. And then we went to a fitness conference. One of my, I would say now good buddies, Tim Lyons, put on a growth summit for fitness business owners. And I spoke to a gentleman, Rick Mayo, and he was like, Evans, sometimes you just got to leverage debt to get ahead. Sometimes you just got to lean in. If you believe in what you do and you believe in serving that community, then you're going to have to like invest at a different level. And so that was something that kind of took me way outside of my comfort zone, but I'm really grateful that we decided to do it. So we signed the lease. I think it was August, September. We signed the lease. By yeah, I think it was that time frame, and then by we had all our permits by early October is when we got our permit situation put together, and then now we're pretty much 90% done, which is kind of cool.
Mhm.
So we're really excited about it.
That's awesome. So what's special about Middletown and going north? You mentioned you didn't want to go south more. So what's special about Middletown that you're seeing now that you're in Middletown, literally, quite literally right now, about the growth and why this is the best placement for Senior Fit right now?
Yeah, I think Middletown is just like Dover or Milford, except for there's more people.
Mm,
What I liked about it is this, it creates Dover as a centralized location. So the way we do our staff development, everybody trains and learns how to train clients out of Dover, and
mhm,
then they'll go to south 30 minutes or north 35. So that was the big thing. It was like, okay, our leadership can lead out of a training hub and then go north or go south to
mm,
provide support. We still do what I call central commands, kind of almost like the military, and so all the leadership is like, except for Sean, who will go to Middletown, but even he's doing his onboarding in Dover. So and then Amanda, even though she lives in Middletown, she runs Dover and Milford from the Dover location. So we just allowed this centralized space that is far enough away. But if I went to the beach next, then, everybody I'm hiring has to commute all the way to Dover to train to go back to the beach versus, I mean, I'm back and forth sometimes 2 or 3 times in a day to
Yeah.
Middletown, and it's still manageable at this point.
Gotcha. What are you most excited about with this new location?
Honestly, I'm most excited about integrating into a new community. It's so cool that, again, like I said, about good 20% of our clients live up here, or from this area. So that's kind of cool. But, developing the relationships in the community and meeting the people and, being who we are in Dover, in Middletown, I think it's really cool. I mean, when you start thinking of the impact, in 14 years, we've been blessed to help over 3,500 people lose 45,000 pounds. And I can't tell you how many people who've gotten off of medications, who A1C levels gotten down, people who are out of pain. It was so cool to go to Milford and meet people that I thought that were just visiting for the grand opening, and they were clients for 6 months, already, and they were saying thank you for having this place and how much our lives are better, and we're really grateful for what you're able to provide. And I know it wasn't me directly, the team's an extension of what we've been able to do, but to be able to create that impact in this community that has, I feel like it's a fitness desert. And what I mean by that is, it's almost like these food deserts. There are food available. It's just not nutritional food available. And so, from fitness, not saying the fitness is poor, it's just for our target market, they don't have that option. And there's a whole host of people who are just not going to go into into a Planet or a big gym or into a large group class. Or there are people who need flexibility because of how their life. Serving the busy professional means that we have to be a little more agile. Think about my morning. This morning, at 6 o'clock, I had my workout. At 7 o'clock, I'm at the base, doing a presentation with the Air Force Base and the community leaders and senators. And then, I'm on the road and I'm back up here to Middletown, and then I have meetings. So if I was stuck into like a class-based system, I couldn't. I mean, I'd have to move my life around to get into the class. And the way I pursue fitness, I wouldn't have done it because the meetings that I have and sometimes the needs that I have are so agile that that I need the flexibility. So I'm really excited to give those type of people the 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 benefit that we provide. I tell you this funny story. We just had a new couple, join us, and we went through the pricing structure, and we're not like crazy expensive. I think our 12-month rate is like half of what a normal personal training session would be. Um, but even still, when you only lose the classes and then you go into personal training, there's a difference. There is a different of investment. So he was like, "Wow, this is not cheap." And I said, "No, it's not." And he's a professional. And I said, "You're probably not cheap as a professional. Like, you don't want a cheap professional. Like, I don't want the cheapest heart surgeon. I want the best." And so for people who have done the cheapest already or have never done anything and want the best, then they're going to invest in their health and we're going to be available. For someone who just wants the cheapest, then I mean, I got nothing for you because my whole team, the amount of investment. I mean, when you look at our P&L, profit and loss statement, if you look at just the professional development number, is the equivalent of one person with a decent salary. So if we're going to invest that much for our team to grow and be better, then we want to attract those people who want to deal with those professionals. There's a reason why I'm not wearing a tank top and shorts. There's a reason why, like we partner with physical therapists and chiropractors and other health professionals so we can have that communication and be in sync with that.
Absolutely. The last question that I have is just, we've been doing this Middletown thing for a couple months now. So what are your biggest lessons that you've learned so far with opening this new location?
Golly. So tons of lessons. One big lesson I learned is how to be a general contractor. You know? So when I got the pricing and everything else, it just was not within the realm that I thought it should have been. So I had to take extreme ownership, which is one of our core values, and said, okay, if I'm going to make this happen, and I was blessed. One of the things we also talk about core values is seek mentorship prior to taking action. So I knew some people that are already in the construction space, and they say, hey, Evans, we won't like physically help you, but if you ask us questions, we will provide wisdom. So I was able to lean in and learn that, and learn how to communicate and meet some of the leaders here in the community who can say, okay, this is what to do. I literally went around and looked for other vacant spaces that had construction. It was like, hey, do you know a guy who does this? Do you know a guy who does that? So the guy who owns the crab place across the street, he's been like, not crab place, but like crab cake place across the street. He's been a real blessing. The physical therapist next door, he's been a huge blessing, to us. So, I've consistently learned to lean on the resources that are around. It's definitely a faith walk, because, everybody told me in the beginning it's going to cost 30% more than you think is going to cost. And they say it's going to take longer than you expect. I'm still doing really well on the timeline of what we expect, but it's definitely a lot more expensive than I imagined in my mind. Learned how to put together equipment because I had to put all this stuff together with our team here. So it's just a really cool, fun opportunity. It's literally grassroots from scratch. I've never done pre-sales before, and that's so exciting to sit down and talk to people. And there's so many people so grateful for the pre-sale because A, they get the discounts and all that, but B, like as they go into the holiday season, it's like super busy in their life. So they're like, hey, I can use this to commit to what I want to do and have it in place. But then when I'm ready to, I can engage. So that's the coolest thing about pre-sale is that you can say, you know what, I want to start my fitness journey in the new year, but the next 6 to 8 weeks is going to be chaos, and I don't want to start doing something. Let me make the decision now for where I want in the future. And so we see that happening quite a bit, and that's super exciting. It's really exciting, and we're able to develop these cool relationships with people even before they get started. Now, to be honest, some people can't wait till the new year. So we have had people say, I'm doing the pre-sale, and they're like, can I start now? So they've been coming down to Dover and getting trained in Dover. And I haven't even told you yet, but maybe I'm floating with the idea of the last 2 weeks of the year for all the pre-sale people this year to come in and just start training. If we have all the pieces in place, I may just say, hey, if you want to, let's start, because we'll do all the onboarding this month, or excuse me, in November. And I may just go from December till the end of the year, just come in and get trained. It's just as my way of just saying, I appreciate you guys trusting us. The cool thing is that we have so much evidence, over 100 plus 5-star reviews. We've been around for a long time. But I may just make that play towards the end of the year, depending where things are, just be another bonus to throw to them. So I'm learning a lot. I'm having a lot of fun, but I just wanted to put out there that there are a lot of great gyms. It's like ice cream flavors. There's a lot of different ones, and you got to figure out based on where you are in your journey, what do you want? And our clients want to have that customized feel, that personalized attention. They want to build these relationships. It's so cool to see our clients because their peers network. Now, we do specialize in fitness over 40, but we do have clients that sometimes are under 40. We just got a testimonial from a client out of Milford, and they're like, well, I thought this was like for older people. She's like in her late 20s, you're getting older because you think of people in their late 20s. You should calculate when they were born. And you're like, oh, they could have been my child, But she was like, I thought this was like for older people, but this is like the best investment ever made, and this is phenomenal. I love this place, and we're like, we specialized in over 40, but the needs are different, right? Like in my lifestyle, I can't afford to blow a knee doing some funky exercise thing. I have too many demands on my life, so we want to serve that person. And so while they're great gyms, we're excited. And like I've talked about, we're going to keep it at about 150, 200 clients max on the personal training side. We'll probably have no more than 100 people do stretch therapy based on capacity. And we're going to rock and roll. So you'll even see some new ads that I've been thinking about that's going to pop up that say, hey, we're looking for 100 people to do this. And really, speak to that person because the need's there. And we're also going to reach out to all the people who've been traveling from Bear and Wilmington and tell them, hey, we're closer. travel 20 minutes now instead of 40 minutes or 50 minutes to come see us. So, any last questions you got?
No, I think that's it. Any wrap up thoughts or anything else that's on your heart to share?
Yeah, I think the only thing is that we're doing pre-sales now. We'll make sure I'll actually drop that post. I think I might have even been in this link here for people to book in consultations. We are doing them virtually, but we also can do them in person now because everything's set up. I just didn't want someone to come in sharing, what's going on with them, and then like just drilling in the background, or someone's
Mhm.
like, "Hey, I need this to be done." So I wanted to, honor their privacy. But yeah, so we're accepting clients, and we're excited to help them. So that's all I got. I don't want to go super duper long, but I'm really pumped, about the success that we're able to help people, and I'm excited to do this in 6 months and talk about where we are, and in a year and talk about where we are. Everywhere we go, we stay there for quite a while, and so we're really challenged. But Middletown, unlike Dover and Milford, has more people in its surrounding areas. So I do see that. I've even been thinking about it, like, okay, there's going to be a true, like, hey, I'm sorry, like, we're not accepting clients at some point. And I mean, Dover was there one time. You were here, you were with us at that point where we had to literally turn people away because we want to keep that intimacy. And so we're excited to provide that in this community.
Mhm. Absolutely. Well, good stuff. Thanks for sharing a little bit about why we're going to Middletown, and I guess we'll talk to y'all later.
All right, thanks for having me.
Bye-bye.